Hi readers, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing another interview in a series of videos that I've been doing where I'm speaking with musicians and screenwriters, actors, producers, and various artists and just getting their take on their latest projects as well as their creative process. For today's video, my guest is Deborah Baum. She is a German actress and producer, and she is based in Los Angeles. I'd like to give Deborah the opportunity to introduce herself in her own words.
Yeah, hi. My name is Deborah. I'm an actress and also starting to become a stunt performer and producer. And yeah, as you said, I'm originally from Germany and then I made the move to the United States like 3 years ago. And yeah, it's been a pretty exciting journey, I would say.
To start, what first drew you to acting?
So what?
What first drew you to acting?
What first drew me to acting? I don't know. It's something that I always wanted to do. Like it's never been that like cliche moment where you just knew you wanted to do it or like an actor that inspired you to do it. It was like always there, which is kind of weird to explain, but I think that's also how I know that I should do this and have to do this because I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like you're just born with that passion, which is kind of cool because a lot of people look all their lives what they are passionate about. And if you just know it, that's, I think, pretty cool.
You studied at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. What was the most transformative lesson from your experience there?
I think I was so excited to go into acting school, and also it was my first time being in New York, which was crazy for me, like moving to another continent all by myself
Yeah.
and starting a new life basically. And I think like you always want to go to acting school, you're always like, oh, I want to study acting, whatever. And then when it finally happens, you're like, what does that even mean? Like, what do you study as an actor, you know? And so I think it was, yeah, pretty crazy to like discover what kind of stuff you can do, like how you can work with your voice and your body and all different aspects, and also how techniques are different in different countries.
Mhm.
And I think the most transformative lesson, one thing that I think is really important is that you always have to like care more. Like we had moments in the exercises where you do like Meisner exercise where it's a lot of repetition of the behavior of the other person, like you verbalize what their behavior is. And sometimes you get into discussions and you want to say something like, yeah, well, I don't care. But that's not true. You always have to care because if you don't care, the scene is over. Like if there's nothing to like fight for,
Yeah.
there's no scene. So you always have to like care about the other person or about the subject or something has to be going on and you can never like not care.
Yeah. Coming from Germany to the US, film industry is a huge leap. What were the biggest cultural adjustments that you had to make in that transition?
Yeah, I think what is really interesting as well is how humor translates in different cultures.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of the German humor you can't, like, productions that are successful in Germany, you can't really do here because they just don't land the same way, or the humor has like a different rhythm. So, especially when you're like speaking in a different language that's not your mother tongue, it's like hard to like do comedy as an international actor, I would say, and vice versa. Like some things that are really funny in the US and Germany, people are like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And I think just getting those little things is like, yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. How has your international background shaped the way you approach character building?
I think it's just in general, like as an actor, the most important thing for me is empathy and like understanding where the other person comes from and what they're going through. And the more experiences you have in your own life and the more different, like maybe jobs you tried or people you talk to in different social circles, like that helps you a lot to build characters. And I think that's the same with like growing up in a different culture than you're like working now is like yeah, just understanding those different backgrounds and how they relate to a character.
Now, shifting gears into stunt work, I did want to address how you're set to attend the International Stunt School in 2025. What inspired you to do stunt work?
Yeah, I grew up doing karate all my life, so like martial arts has always been a big part of my life. My dad has had his own like dojo where we trained from like me and my sister from like a young age. So it was always there. And the more I thought about like the more people ask me like what's your dream role, I thought about, I don't actually know. And then I discovered, okay, my dream role would probably be like playing an action hero or like a Marvel superhero or even a supervillain could be really fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, if I want to do this and I want to try to like stand out as an actor, why not use that experience that I had growing up and like put that into my work? And yeah, I actually attended the Stunt School this summer, their program, and it was amazing. It was so transformative, and I felt like especially this community of stunt actors or stunt performers were like such kind people that I didn't expect. I thought they would be like all tough, strict people, but they were so like kind and caring, and they really look out for you and for your safety, and you have to trust each other so much that like it really inspired me, like just what like good people they are, because like actors a lot of the time can be like a bit like divas or dramatic, like exactly like the cliche that you would imagine. But the stunt performers are so humble, at least the ones that I met. And I think there's everything in every um, sector. Like they're different people, but like the ones that I met at the school were like pretty awesome.
I was going to ask too about stunt work. Like, how do you balance being vulnerable while still, like the physicality of that?
Yeah, totally. I feel like as a stunt performer, you don't necessarily can show that much acting. I think it depends what role you get, and if you get booked for roles that actually have lines, a lot of the time you literally just do the action that would be too dangerous for the actor or not even too dangerous. A lot of the time it's just about like their budget. If someone gets injured, even doing something small, it would like slow down the production and they don't want that. So you do whatever they can't do or not allowed to do, even if they want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's mostly like taking the hits, I
Yeah.
would say. But for me as an actor, I think the most interesting thing about people that are, like action heroes or like really tough people or playing villain characters, if they have like something contradicting to them, like a backstory that you maybe wouldn't expect and makes them more relatable. So I feel like if you have something really like someone who's really strong, but also has a very like vulnerable side, that makes the character more interesting to me
Yeah.
and more human as well.
Have you had a favorite character that you've played that you resonated with more than others?
Yeah, I recently discovered like I always really like dramatic roles. I just think it's the most fun when you can like let out a lot of stuff that you couldn't do like in normal society because you would just be super weird.
Yeah.
So I always like the like dramatic characters. But yeah, the direction I was just going is like literally the first time I was cast like as an antagonist, it was so interesting to me because I always wanted to be like the lead character, like the good person, but then playing that other side was so interesting to me. Like just trying to like not judge your character and just, finding ways how you can relate to them and how you can make them more like human and not like a cliche of like an evil person. I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun to do.
Understanding their psychology and yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Your work has been described as fearless yet vulnerable. How do you personally cultivate both courage and openness in your performances?
Yeah, I think like what is always the most important thing when you feel like you're kind of stuck is to just focus on your partner and try to give them what they need or try to make them look good because that takes your mind off of your own performance so you don't get into your head about all these things. And I feel like a lot of actors always feel like, oh, you have to do like bold choices in auditions so you stand out and you want to be special or whatever so you get noticed.
Yeah.
And I think you can get into your head a lot about this. So it's always better to not think about it too much and literally just focus on your partner in the scene and try to really listen to them and, react to them instead of like planning out in your head what like big choice you want to do.
Yeah. Just being very present in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, looking ahead to 2025 and beyond, what is your dream scenario, the role, genre, or creative challenge that you most would like to take on?
Um, I think I really want to play more theater as well again. I feel like I just discovered that it's so interesting if you like go through the whole story in like one night and like literally get to develop the character as you go instead of just doing like little like snippets of the story that a lot of the time are also not in order. So sometimes it's hard to imagine how everything fits together at the end because like in the editing, the movie is like made, like sometimes you don't really know how it's gonna look like until you see it at the end. And so doing theater, I feel like gives you a lot more control as well, and also like just feeling through the character. And so I want to do more theater, but also I hope that I book like something like a bigger series or something.
Yeah. To close our interview, I wanted to ask, what is the best acting advice you have ever received and who gave you that advice?
Mm, what's the best acting advice? That's a good question. Like, I feel like people tell you what to do all the time or like what works for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard thing about acting. Like no one can tell you the way to like success because it's different for everyone and everyone's journey is different and everyone's like typecast is different. So it's always hard to like think that if you follow someone else's advice, you're gonna get their result because you have to figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
So I think the most important part is to like take something from everything you do, whether it's like a good experience or maybe you have a not so pleasant experience, but you always learn something from it, and then go from there and kind of build your own like toolkit, as they always say in acting school, like something else for your toolkit, and then you can see how that works for you. And I think I learn a lot from like just observing other actors or like other people's auditions and just realizing what you think that works and what you think that doesn't work, and then you can just try it out yourself. And yeah, you have to look at like your own self tapes even when a lot of the time you don't want to because you feel like self-conscious about it, but
Yeah.
like it's important to like go back over it and like really like analyze what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
the end of our interview, but it was such a pleasure speaking with you about your acting and all of your STEM performance work as well. I just really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you too.
Of course, everyone, I will have Deborah's socials and links in the description box below. Please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe.